I did want to kind of transition into JB Bickerstaff. I know we talked about his rotations, and this is kind of like a 1B question to that rotation, but
Sure.
do you think that he should play Cade more minutes when he has the hot hand? And I know we talked about staggering, but the third quarter in the Indiana game, scored 18 points in the third quarter, comes back in 7-minute mark in that game, and it's not that he wasn't making shots. It kind of felt like all the points that he scored in the third quarter, he just wasn't kind of feeling that same kind of swagger. So do you think he should try to ride the hot hand more with players on this team?
I think especially when it comes to Cade, absolutely. Because especially when he's on, it's like he has like the real life, 2K takeover badge, right? Like where it's like genuinely like happening in real time where no one can stop him like that. I really thought at the end of the third quarter when he had that step back buzzer beater again in the Indiana game, I was like, this is such a momentum changer, right? And then he's out. I really think when Cade is on, you need to just keep him in until it stops falling. Then you pull him. There's some players where like if they're hot and you pull them, you put them back on the court, it'll stay that way. But Cade's someone that when he gets hot, you absolutely at all costs you need to keep him on the court, especially because let's like no mistakes about it. He's their best player without question. And when your best player is able to take over the game, you need to keep him in unless like you have a genuine, like we mentioned, like that 1B, where he's like that 1B is going to come in and really just like maintain where you're at. That's not happened thus far. As good as Jaden Ivey has been, that's not really where he's at right now, and that's fine. But when Cade is that hot, that's a hot hand. Like you just have to keep in. I think he's a perfect example. I think Simone also last night was someone that could have benefited from it. And I talked about it a little bit earlier where Simone, I think, has so much more to give to this team. And you saw it more in that Boston game, right? Where like he has so much more to give to this team than like what he was able to show those first couple games, where it kind of just felt like he existed out there. Like it was like he was just like a random jersey. I remember like obviously the team had nowhere near this much depth when he arrived in Detroit at the deadline last season. But I remember being very impressed by his overall presence on the court because it was a very noticeable presence, whether his shot was going up or not, just because of how much he moves. And I think I've seen a lot more of him just standing and not really getting many looks to like, catch a ball in the corner. And then it's like when he does, it's like here and there. I want to say in that first Indiana game, he shot only like three or four times, maybe. And I just think like you have a Simone, you have a Beasley, you have a Tim Hardaway. Those are three, and Tobias as well. Those are three high-level shooters. Use them, right? Like it's that thing of like use them to your advantage, especially when you have guys like Ron Holland in the rotation. Who Ron right now you can tell is scared to shoot it. That I really feel like when you have a guy like Simone in who's hot, or a guy like Malik Beasley in who's hot, keep them in, right? I don't think this team can afford to take out the hot hand as it currently stands. Just because you're not winning basketball games. That's just how it is. And I think until you start figuring out like necessarily a winning formula, there's just no way of justifying pulling out those hot hands and then putting in guys who are just kind of killing the momentum a little bit. And it's not their fault, but momentum, it was ironically something I've seen discussed on Twitter recently. Is like, is it a real thing? Because it's not tangible, but you can honestly tangibly see that like the game shifts the minute the hot hand comes out. And I really, especially when it comes to Cade, would like to see that fixed.
Yeah, same here. It's something that I've seen on, I think even Koo from Lockdown Pistons, shout out to him. So like, should JB, play Cade when he's feeling it, when he's hot? And I was just like, yeah, you have to, ride that hot hand, because that Pacers game, man, like I was there crowd was going nuts, man. Like he looked like people are calling him Kobe Cunningham, just like with the post moves, the fadeaways. Like he was just getting to his spots, and there was nothing they could do about it. And when he kind of gets into that mode, like I wouldn't want to take him out until he misses a couple. Like personally, like I know that's kind of selfish as me as a fan, and you don't want him playing a full 48 minutes. But man, like when he's feeling it like that, like leave him out there because the Pacers had no answers for him whatsoever. Didn't matter if it was Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton. It just didn't matter. But I think that's something I'd like to see JB do going forward. And I also think he's learning on the fly right now. He's kind of experimenting with the guys that he has. And you have to understand, like, even though he's been an NBA coach, he's still learning these guys each and every day, learning what they can do and what they can't do. But I think overall his rotations have been night and day better than Monty Williams. Like, it's not even a comparison. I think I've only seen an all bench lineup like maybe once, and that was in the preseason. That was like the last game. But I mean, overall, like I've been pretty happy with his rotations. Overall, I'm not going to nitpick like individual quarters, but I mean there are some things that like I would really like to see Samonia close out against Boston. But other than that, I mean it's been pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you.